Welcome to another JQLM Radio special edition with your girl, Lady J. And before I introduce my guest, as you all know, we must get the formalities out of the way. So, with that being said, if this is your first time tuning in to JQLM Radio or the JQLM Radio Special Edition, and you would like to share with your family, friends, and followers about all the different ways that they can tune in, be sure to tell them to download the JQLM Radio app on their Android or Apple devices. You can also get JQLM Radio via Amazon Alexa, TuneIn app, Streama Simple Radio app, and a host of other platforms, of which you can find on our website, where you can also listen live at egoentertainmentnet.com. That's egoentertainmentnet.com. Also, don't forget to follow, like, and share us on social media. We do follow back. You can follow us at JQLM Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as Ego Entertainment at EgoEntNet on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and on LinkedIn at Ego Entertainment Network. And last but not least, if you would like to follow myself, Lady J, you can follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook at Lady J Brand, Instagram at LadyJ.co. I'm really not on Twitter like that, y'all, but I mean, you can follow me there anyway at JQ_1, and on LinkedIn at Lady J. I know some of you want to know about my personal page. I'm already at 5,000 on there. So follow me on my public figure page at Lady J Brand. Also, you can learn more about myself and what I do and services and products that I offer when you go to my website. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tongue tied today. That's that side effect from that brain aneurysm. LadyJ.co, LADYJ.co. You can follow me and connect with me there as well. Now, we have that out of the way. Let's introduce our guest today. So, my guest today is none other than Aaron Cole. Now, if you all don't know him, so a lot of you probably do know him, especially for those of you who tune in to our gospel hours in the morning from 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. You may hear his music on there. But he is an amazing artist, Christian artist. And I'm pretty sure you all heard the new song with Jay Moss and Aaron Cole called Leave Me. So, yes, that is him. And we're going to get to know him just a little bit better before we bring him on. So, with that being said, let's learn a little bit more about Aaron before we bring him on into the show. Aaron Cole is a three-time #1 Billboard charting Dove Award-winning Christian artist. He caught the attention of multi-Grammy award-winning artist Toby Mac at the age of 15 and was signed to his record label, Goatee Records. Aaron has had the opportunity to work with some of the industry's biggest artists like Lecrae and Jay Moss. Aaron is using his gift of song to deliver the message that you are meant to be and do something great, and dreams are obtainable no matter how impossible they seem, and also feels that you don't have to compromise your faith to get there. This is Aaron Cole.
What's up? I can't hear you. No.
Now can you hear
Second
me?
one. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
All right. So, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on. That intro video was fire.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. We try.
Yeah.
We try over here at JQL. So, um, you've been singing and rapping since you were 5 years old. Tell me, did you know then that this is what you wanted to do, or did you want to be something else when you were 5?
Yeah, so I actually started rapping at 3. I started singing at 7. And so my pops, he had like a studio back in my hometown, Bristol, Virginia. That's why the album's called 202 Down. From Virginia. And like just different artists would come in and out. And I started like just mocking their lyrics. And my uncle used to be a Christian rapper, so I started mocking his lyrics, rapping whole verses. And so they just gave me a shot. And I think at that time, like I was just doing it because I loved it, you know what I'm saying? Like and my family, you know what I'm saying, was supporting it. But I think when I turned 12, and because I grew up in church, so when I turned 12, I say that's when I really got a relationship with Christ, you know what I'm saying? Because I did it for myself and not just because I was in church. And I feel
Right.
like that's when I really was like, this is what I want to do. Before that, it was kind of like this or basketball, or I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what was gonna happen. But at 12, I was like, okay, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. I think this is what I want to do. So yeah,
Okay. So your bio mentioned that um, hustling was a way of life,
mhm.
and music was used as a way for you to express yourself about what was going on around you. So at that time, tell me what was going on around you and how did it affect you?
Yeah. So growing up in Virginia, it's just really a lot of like it's a small town in Virginia called Bristol that I'm from, and so in
Mhm.
Bristol, it's really just a lot of the same stuff. Like you just grow up and like you go to school, go to the parties, you know what I'm saying? You get drunk and then after school, you just find you a job and you stay in the area. That's kind of like the way. Like you don't travel, you don't make it out. Like if there's good basketball players, like they usually just go to school like in the area. They don't really try to go far. So I think it's kind of like almost at first it was like a toxic mentality of like, man, like, am I ever gonna make it out of here kind of thing, because that's just kind of what you know. And
Mhm.
I think for me and my dad, like we was just kind of like focused on, nah, like we can make it out. And so ever like I think I inspired my city, because now it's kind of I feel like it's kind of like a shift, because it's like if you haven't seen anybody do it before, like make it out, um, then you kind of like stuck in that same thing. But once you see somebody like do it, they're like, oh, okay, I can probably do this. So we've had like other people that just kind of like hit me up and hit my pops up about like, yo, you've inspired me to do this, do music, or inspired me to go to school, or inspired me to do whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I think for me, we was just trying to go against the grain and do what God called us to do to eventually make it where I am now. So
Awesome. So what is something that you have struggled with that influenced you to choose Christian or gospel music over, say, hip hop and R&B,
yeah, uh,
as far as an
that's a,
artist goes?
yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think for me, like especially just first starting out, like it's almost like it feel like Christian music chose me. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like, man, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like I said, I gave my life to Christ for myself. Like I grew up in church, but of course, around that time, people was hearing what I was doing, and it was like, oh yeah, you could do this. Like you could make songs about whatever. And I think that's when God kind of like snatched me up and was like, nah, this is your plan. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I kind of like went through something to do that. I think it was more so just like God showed me that this is what I'm calling it, or what my calling is, and what I'm supposed to do. I think during like my journey now,
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely been things like in the industry where, you know what I'm saying, I feel like, oh man, maybe I should go this way, maybe I should go that way. But I feel like God always brings me back to this place of like, not like stay on the path, stay on the mission, you know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to get distracted, you know what I'm saying, when you looking at distractions, honestly. Like when you looking at distractions and you on this road, there's so many things that try to get you to, you know, stop before you reach that goal. And so I feel like God just love me and be, you know what I'm saying, showing me to like stay on the path. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Awesome. You don't hear too many young people, talking about that, especially choosing to be a Christian artist. So let me just say, I just want to say thanks because as far as Christian rap is concerned,
Yeah,
a lot of Christian, singers, and I know you sing and rap,
hmm,
but like among like Lecrae, Andy Mineo, Flame, Uncle Reese, like all of them, I
yeah,
love them, but we don't have enough Christian rappers, and I'm like, and they all rap about real,
yeah, yeah,
what you think you're listening to like hip hop,
yeah.
and but they keep it 100 and I like that, and it always has a message, and so I think that I kind of went through a lot of your music like from when you were younger all the way up until now, and I'm like,
Oh no.
this little boy, woo! like like oh, he got it. um,
Appreciate it.
hearing the song, uh, and I love Toby Mac, too.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
I always loved Toby Mac. Uh,
Yeah.
but what did it for me when I heard his collab with Kirk Franklin too.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and when I heard Jay Moss, like Jay Moss is one of my favorite. Okay, he's one of the
The
great.
goat.
Yes, he is.
The
And when I
goat.
heard that, I was like, oh, okay, he's somebody I need to be turned into. Okay.
That's what's
Uh,
up.
um, I know that you're only 22, right?
Yep, 22. Hmm.
But in my when I was 22, I had been through things that people in their 60s and 70s probably hadn't even gone through yet. So
Yeah.
everybody has a story. So my question to
Hmm.
you is, um, have you endured any type of major challenge or trauma that was difficult for you to overcome? And if so, what was it and how did you overcome it?
How much time we got?
Go on, take your time.
um, I would say I have this one story that's kind of like the biggest, like almost like hurdle. Um, because it feels like I've gone through stuff, you know what I'm saying, like throughout my life, but this one thing is the thing that just kind of like puts things in focus for me almost to where like when other stuff happen, like I kind of just fall under this of like, man, God had me in this, so I know he got me in this kind of thing.
Mhm,
Um, but it all goes back to a relationship that I had when I was like 16, 17. Um, I had just signed to Toby, and I had been like Toby was very vocal, and he still is about if he signs you young, like he's not putting you out till you're 18. And so at like 15, 16, I was like, man, I'm the man. Like I'm getting, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm getting a bunch of labels hit me up. Like I'm trying to go now. He's
mhm,
like, nah. So he put me through like an artist development process or whatever. And so I was still doing shows and all that stuff. But you know what I'm saying? As far as like putting out music, I wasn't really putting out music like that. I was just, you know, in the studio and then doing shows, whatever, like doing whatever I could do to just get my name out there without dropping music. Um, and Toby was just teaching me a lot during that time. And so, like I said, about 16, 17, I met this girl in my hometown. And so at the time, like I really was focused on like just going to the next level. So like as far as girls, like I talk to girls and stuff like that, but I was never like relationship, like, okay, I'm about to get in a relationship because I'm always like, man, I'm always on the road or I'm
mhm,
going to leave town, whatever, that type of vibe. And so I don't know why, but I do know why now that it's over. I was just like, man, I'm about to get in a relationship. My pops was trying to tell me like, no, don't do it, whatever. So I'm in this relationship. things going bad left and right, but I'm still staying in it. It's crazy. And then towards the end, my dad's kind of like he's telling me like, man, you need to get it away from this relationship. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't think it's a coincidence that you get in this relationship right before, you know what I'm saying? Like we're about to come out on a label and stuff like that. And I wasn't trying to hear it. I was just young and dumb, really. And so I it all led to this trip. I went to Florida, Orlando. I was supposed to do a show at Universal, and it was a hurricane coming. So we got there on a Friday. The show was supposed to be on a Saturday. By Friday night, they were like, "Oh, the show's canceled, like because the hurricane's coming, like whatever." And so um, we had to like get up all our stuff. Like we canceled our flight. We was gonna drive back to Bristol. And so Friday night, like my pops, he had friends in the town or whatever. And mind you, at this point, he's told me to like stop talking to this girl, like you know what I'm saying, like take a break from this girl, don't text this girl, nothing like that. Um, and at that point, you know what I'm saying, I was just doing kid stuff. Like I was sneaking. I changed her name on my phone to one of my homeboys' names. So like anytime she texts, he didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? And then I don't know what happened. Maybe I like got confident or something, but I changed her name back to her name. And so we went to dinner with one of my dad's friends, and like he talking to him or whatever. He was a stylist, so he talking to me like, man, we need to get you to, you know what I'm saying, help Aaron with some of his fashion, whatever. And I'm on the side of the table, like just texting Shorty the whole time. Like I'm texting whatever, just blinded, you know what I'm saying? Like not even not even focusing on what's going on. So he like, the stylist was like, hey, let me see your Instagram. So I get on my phone so he can see my Instagram, and shorty text. And of course he don't, you know what I'm saying, he don't know anything going on. So he just yelled it out. So he yelled her name. He was like, oh, shorty texting or whatever. My pops gave me that death look, you know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm saying, if you grew up in a black household, you know what that death look is, like you about to get it type vibe. So he gave me my phone back, you know what I'm saying? Of course we leave. He yelling, my pop yelling at me, you know what I'm saying, going crazy. We going back and forth, and then um go to sleep, wake up the next day, wake up early because we got a 10-hour drive back to Bristol. The first 5 hours, my pops didn't talk to me. He didn't say nothing to me. Like complete silence in the car. Um, he stops, he gets gas. He's talking to my mom on the phone. He's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with your son. Again, if you grew up in a black household, you heard that a million times. So he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with your son. Da 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 da. He's still talking to this girl. Boom, boom, boom. Gets on the phone. He's talking to me. He's like, and at this point, my dad is like, you know what I'm saying, my manager, like we doing everything together. So he like, look, he's like, I'm gonna always be your dad, but if you continue to do this, like I can't be in ministry with you, kind of thing. And so that's when it kind of got scary to me because I'm like, we right at the verge of this, like you can't leave me now type vibe. I'm like, all right. So again, we didn't talk for the rest of the trip. We had that one conversation, we didn't talk for the rest of the trip. I get back home, you know what I'm saying? Of course, Shorty texting me, trying to, you know what I'm saying, see me, whatever. I ain't seen her in a minute. So I'm like, nah, I'm not about to do this now. Like, I'm about to go to sleep, whatever. So go to sleep. I wake up the next day. Every day, everybody gone from my house. So my dad, my mom, my sisters, they all gone. So I'm like, man, what happened? Did the rapture come? Like, I missed that, John. I'm like, what's going on? Uh, and so I'm just in my room and I start praying to God. But really, really, I'm yelling. Like I'm yelling at God, and I'm like, yo, God, like if this girl not for me, like I need you to show me a sign. Like I don't need to be praying for 40 days, 40 nights. Like I don't need to be fasting. I need you to let me know right now. No cap. I said amen. My mom texted me. My mom's kind of been on our side the whole time. Like my mom's been like, you know what I'm saying, if y'all supposed to be together, y'all be together. You know what I'm saying? Just listen to your dad. Woo, 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 woo. Like she not really tripping. So as soon as I say amen, she texts me, she like, I think you need to break up with Shorty. So I kind of ignore it. I'm like, she with him right now, you know what I'm saying? Like, forget it. So I let that slide. Then I get a call from a producer I haven't worked with since I was like 13, 14. Again, remind you, I'm like 17 now. And so he's like, he's like, man, I had to call you. He's like, I had a dream about you last night. And he was like, you was building a wall. And on the other side of the wall was like everything that you worked for your entire life. And so he was like, I don't know if you messing with some girl or what, but you got to stop. And so immediately I'm shook. I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? So yeah, that shit was crazy. And so we hang up, and again, I'm spooked. So I'm like, all right, there's my answer. But then like I want to say like two or three people called me right after that, like saying the same thing. Like, man, you gotta break up with Shuddy, whatever. No lie. I broke up with the girl. Um, and then right after that, I had a trip to Nashville again because I was in the studio. So I went to Nashville. And then that's when I wrote my first Billboard #1 song. And then like everything for my life changed. And so for me, like to think about that, I was just so far deep and to like blinded about this relationship and not really like focusing on what I would need to focus on and to think about like, dang, like God still had me and God still loved me enough to like stop me before, you know what I'm saying, I did anything crazy to ruin the plan that he had for me. It's like I always put that under that. It's like, man, like God loves me too much to, you know what I'm saying, let me fall. And so I just got to stay tuned into him. But yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest hurdle because like at that time, like, I thought everything was over. Like it was like, man, it's over. I didn't messed up, but like God still had me. So I know it's a
Awesome.
long story. That's why I asked how long.
You listen, you good. We all have stories like that. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes we don't like God's answer because
right.
it don't align with what we want.
At all, for sure. He was trying to tell me the whole time, and I was like, nah, I'm not trying to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes we want a yes and he tells us no. Sometimes we want to know and he say yes.
Right, right,
So,
right.
But and unfortunately, we don't appreciate the yes or the no until we figure out why he said the yes or the no. And usually that don't come till long after. So
Long after, exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. You preaching.
So speaking of your first number one single hitting number one on the Billboard charts, tell me, how did that feel for you?
Man, it felt crazy. Like I really haven't thought about it in a while, but it's like at that time, it was just nuts because just coming from where I come from, again, like everything that I had on me of like nobody makes it out of the city, like, and then for my first big song on the label to come out and it hit number one on the radio, like it was just crazy. It was a moment, like it was a huge moment. I think as you continue to do stuff, which I kind of don't like about the industry, like as soon as like as you continue to do stuff, they kind of like don't celebrate it as much. So it's like the other two were kind of not as special as the first one. Um, but I think it was still special to me. Like all of
Right.
them have been special to me. But yeah, that first one, it was just like it felt like the whole like Bristol one, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody was just like going crazy. I would say that the same thing for the dub. Like when I won my first dub, like it was just like the whole city going crazy. And so it just feels good. Like I think more than focusing on me, like two things. It would be my all my family sacrifices. Like it's like I feel like they feel good about that stuff too. It's like because when all the stuff that they sacrificed to me growing up, it's like that all this stuff coming to tuition. It's like, man, it feels dope. And then second, like just to inspire, you know what I'm saying, the people that look up to me, like it's nothing like that. So yeah,
Mm.
it felt crazy.
So I know that a lot of artists in this particular industry, you know, a lot of them look at their music as ministry. You know, when you're in the, R&B or pop or hip hop or country or whatever,
Hmm.
um, they are striving, for number one records, to be recognized, to win those
Hmm.
awards. But in the gospel industry or the Christian industry, a lot of artists look at it as ministry. So they're doing it for God, whether they are recognized
Hmm.
or whether they hit number one, number two or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, so for you, I know that those moments were special, but would you say that your drive to continue doing this, is it more ministry for you, or do you also do it for the recognition?
That's a good question. I think that's kind of like what I was talking about in my the whole concept for the album I just dropped, 202 Down. Um because I feel like I got to a point where I like reached a lot of the goals that I said I was gonna reach. Not to say like I'm where I know I'm gonna be, but like just when you grow up and you have vision boards and stuff like that, like I had a dove on there, like I had billboard on there. So it's like a lot of those things I reached, and I was just kind of like at a place of like, man, like where do I go? Then a pandemic happened, and it's like, okay, I'm in this place of like where the no shows are happening, like what does God kind of tell me? And I feel like he was, which is what the whole album is kind of based about, is like remember who you are, remember where you came from. And so if any gospel artists are telling you like they don't do nothing for their recognition, like I feel like they capping, because it's like they definitely, you know what I'm saying, anybody that I came across with, like we make music like to be like, man, we want this to do well, like that's just real, you know what I'm saying, like we wanted to do well, we wanted to hit charts, we wanted, you know what I'm saying, whatever. But I think it's definitely a deeper thing of where we inspire, and that's the thing that keeps us going, of like if it doesn't do well, you know what I'm saying, if it impacts somebody, that's what helps me keep going, you know what I'm saying. But I'm not gonna lie and say like I don't make songs and be like, yo, this song gonna be crazy, like this song gonna go number one or nothing like that, you know what I'm saying. But if it doesn't, I know if it impacts somebody, that's, you know what I'm saying, that's my true reward, you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
um and so yeah, I would say both. Like I would say both. Like I definitely make songs to be like, I want this to be successful, but I definitely just make songs on my album. Like Can't Choose a Side on my record. Like that was just a record that was, you know what I'm saying, close to me. And it was like it got me through things. So I was like, I'm gonna put this on the album because it might get somebody else through it. So yeah.
Right. So I like that. I like that answer. think if you've been in the industry for a long time, so let's say for instance, people like Lecrae, John P. Key, you know,
Mm.
Franklin, it's more ministry for them. You know,
Yeah,
Fred,
yeah, yeah. Because they already got all the stuff.
yeah,
They got everything. Craig got a Grammy. Craig got, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, and I
Kurt
think
got 50 Grammys. Like,
yeah, and they, you know, they're on the producing side as well. So,
yeah,
but I think for them, people who come from you know, John P. Key, his story is absolutely amazing. You
yeah,
know, when you've been a drug addict, when you lost, you know what I'm saying, your church, your family and
yeah,
all that stuff, I think when you enter into that realm and God has you doing ministry, I think the most important thing is the ministry side. But I do agree
mhm,
that there are some people in the industry, like you said, that they are doing it for the recognition, and that's great, you know, because when you are putting a product out there, yes, it's ministry, but it's also a product as well. It's still
yep,
business. There's
yep.
still a side to it. You do want it to do well. So,
Mhm.
because essentially that's how you feed your family. You know,
Right. Like, or we would just give albums away. Like, we wouldn't sell
yeah,
albums. We would just give
yeah,
them away.
yeah.
Right,
Your
right.
gift make room. Your gift makes room for you.
Yep.
So, um, so yeah, I like that. Now you have shared the stage with Lecrae and Andy Mineo and all of them Triply. Um,
Yeah.
and you've also worked with Jay Moss. So tell me, what was that like? What was that experience like?
Yeah. I guess I could just focus on the J Moss one because that one's still crazy to me sometimes. Like, that's my homie now, but like it still be like, bro, I you know what I'm saying? My granddad was a pastor, so I grew up kind of like a grand PK, but I call myself a PK because like we was there. And so my dad like ran the music, and so before church, he'll run J Moss album, like the first album, the J Moss project, from top to bottom. So it's like as I grew up, like I knew that joint word for word.
Mhm.
Um, and it was one day I was shooting a video for a song, and we was in Dallas, and I got back to the Airbnb, like I was just kind of like chilling. It was like 2 in the morning, and I was just chilling, like about to go to sleep type vibe, and I get a random like notification like Inside J Moss has followed you, Inside J Moss commented on your photo, whatever. And I'm like, man, what? Like, what is going on? And so I open Instagram and I see like he commented on my stuff like, man, keep going. Like I love what you're doing. And I'm not the one to, you know what I'm saying, cap. Like if I'm a fan of somebody, like I'm gonna let you know. Like I'm not about to be like, oh yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Like,
Wait,
nah,
no,
I DM them quick, like, man, look, I grew up on the J Moss project. Like, you can't be just sliding up in my comments like you ain't who you are. You know what I'm saying? And so we started chopping it back and forth. Um, and man, he's just a cool dude. Like we was chopping it for like 2-3 months before even anything like happened for our song. Like we was just chopping it up, talking. Um, and I got the song "Leave Me." Like I made the song with my boy Greg Cox, who's playing the keys, and I was just like, man, it'd be crazy if Jay like got on this song. So I kind of like tested the water first though. Like I didn't want to be that guy that just asked them up front, and
mhm,
so like I knew that in my questions, like when you ask the questions on Instagram, like fans always ask you who you want to work with. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do a questions thing. When they ask that question, I'm gonna just tag them and then see what he say. You know what I'm saying? So they asked the question. I was just like, man, I named a couple people, and then I was like, man, Inside J Moss. And so he replied to the thing. He was like, man, I'm ready when you are. I was like, bet, say less. I got something right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna send it to you. And so I sent it to him. We chopped it up on FaceTime, and he rocked to that joint. And then I just kind of like I gave him a little direction of like, yo, do something here, like go crazy here, pull back here.
mhm.
And then he sent back that like what it is. Like he sent that back. I ain't touched nothing. At first, I wanted to touch it because I was like, man, that man going crazy. He like killed me. He put me in the water. But I'm like, but I'm like, man, that's Jay Moss. I can't do
Hey,
anything.
yeah, that's
Like I'm gonna
that's
just let it rock. Just let that thing rock. So yeah, so I let it rock, man. We mixed it, and then we shot the video in Nashville, and it's man, we've been cool ever since. Like we just man, straight. That's my dog. So that was probably the craziest one, probably the craziest collaboration, just because of how it happened and
and
me
look,
growing up on him. So
That song is amazing. It
thank
is
you.
absolutely amazing. I love it. I love the message in the song too.
Yeah, yeah.
If y'all have not heard "Leave Me," I didn't cue it up to play today. I usually essentially uh we were set up to pre-record. I don't know why that happened, but instead of
Yeah, yeah. Nah, I feel you.
you have to go listen to the song "Leave Me." It is in rotation on JQLM radio.
Let's go.
Um, for all of the J Moss fans out there.
There
Uh,
we go.
and so, what new projects do you have coming up? I know that you are just wrapped up or are wrapping up your tour, the
Yeah.
2 Down tour. So what projects do you have coming up, or what's new?
Yeah. So yeah, I just got off my first tour. It was my first headline tour. Like I opened for a lot of people and stuff like that before, but this was my first one of like me as a headliner, people coming to see me. And so it was crazy, man. It's nothing like people that's been rocking with you for a minute and rocking with the album. So that was amazing. And I think, man, I'm just about to. I got a couple shows, but I'm just about to enjoy the holidays, like kick back. I've been working all year, working on the album, working on the tour. So um these next few months I'm kind of just gonna be chilling, like maybe do some songs. But I think it's just time to like focus on family for a little bit right now. And the next year, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. Like I might do singles, I might do another album. But we'll see what God has. But I'm definitely always working. I'm always planning for the future. I think right now it's just like, I just got married, so what I'm saying, I gotta focus on that. I gotta focus on, what I'm
Oh,
saying, my
congratulations!
yeah, appreciate it. And then my, what I'm saying, my family, my moms and pops, like I haven't seen my moms in a minute, so my sisters. So I'm just gonna kind of like focus on them and, enjoy life. So I think that's what I always do in between albums. It's like I take a little minute to just do life so I can get inspired to make more music. Cause I really just talk about what goes on with me. So
Well, family is always the first ministry.
yeah,
So,
for sure. For sure. For sure.
um,
So
so how can people connect with you? How can they support your music? How can they follow you?
yeah. Everything is I am Aaron Cole. IAMAARONCOLE. That's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You can just look up Aaron Cole. And then my website is IamAaronCole.com. So all the updates, all the shows are on there. And yeah, just go listen to the album 202 Down. It just came out a couple months ago. So I'm excited, man. It's doing really well. So I definitely love to connect for sure.
Awesome. And last but not least, before we get out of here, what advice would you give to another young person who feels like they have to compromise their faith in order to reach their dreams, compromise who they are?
Yeah. um well, off jump, I would say know that you don't have to. you know, um, I think there were so many people in my journey that, what I'm saying, try to tell me like, oh, like you can't do it that way to go where you want to go, or you can't do this to be on Billboard. Like you have to talk about this. You have to say God. What I'm saying, just a short amount of time in your songs, like, and none of that stuff was true.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's more about being authentically you and being who God made you to be. And that's what He blesses, like, because He makes all of us, what I'm saying, special, like in different ways. Like He made you, He made me, and we all have a purpose in this life. And so you can't focus on being like somebody else or doing what somebody else told you to do. You got to listen to what God told you to do, so you can fulfill the purpose that He has for your life. And like I said, that's what He blesses. That's what, what I'm saying, will take you to that level. So you don't have to compromise anything. Like just keep God first, and, what I'm saying, stay authentically you, and your dreams will come to pass for sure. Like, and work hard for sure. You gotta definitely work. You can't just be praying and not working. So
I know that's right. For when dead.
no cat. So
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Aaron. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed you today here
yeah,
on
thanks for having me.
the show. Keep doing what you're doing. We need more role models like you for the young people.
Thank you.
So continue doing what you're doing, and I'm excited for what's coming next.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. This was dope.
no problem. So listen, y'all know what it is. Stay tuned for more upcoming JQLM Radio special editions. We actually have J Moss and some of his artists that will be joining us here soon. So
Ooh.
those dates are to be announced. We have also Kingdom Image Award winning gospel artist Andre Speed coming up. We have Jacob Alexander, R&B artist, coming up. We have comedian Leah McBride coming up. So listen, y'all go to the website, egoentertainmentnet.com, subscribe for all of your gospel, hip hop, and R&B news tidbits of the week, upcoming, shows, red carpets, and all that good stuff. Okay, make sure y'all subscribe for free too, so that you can have access to our Ego magazine. This has been another JQLM Radio special edition with your girl, Lady J, right here on JQLM Radio, division of Ego Entertainment Network, y'all. And I'm out.